Hey. Would everybody please do me a favor and stand up? Stand up. Stand up. Reach your arms to the sky like this. Take a deep breath in. Make 2 fists. Pull down, go, yes. This is going to be awesome. Give someone a high five next to you. You guys ready for an amazing experience? So it's my great honor, and it's such a blessing to introduce someone who needs no introduction. Someone who's written over 89 books. A scholar, a physician, a mystic, a vehicle, a channel, a beacon, a conduit. And you know what I say? If you become a conduit, you can do it. Are you guys ready for Deepak Ji? Then do me a favor, instead of a standing ovation, please give an outstanding ovation for Deepak Chopra. Show some love, Bhaktifest.
Thank you. Okay, thank you Bhaktifest, thank you Sridhar, thank you Yogi Ji, and thanks all of you. I thought since we have 1 hour, I was told, hello, so since we have 1 full hour, let's try and solve the mystery of our existence. Okay? Are you ready for that? Yes! Okay, so let's call this yoga for enlightenment and yoga for understanding and unraveling what we call reality, what we call everyday reality. So most people, other than serious yogis, know this to be everyday reality. What you're looking at right now, those trees, your own body, the microphone, me, all these colors, all these sounds, all these forms, all these shapes, all these textures, all these sensations, all these images, also how we think about all of this and how we feel about all of this. Most people think this is reality. Well, it's not. Okay? What we are experiencing right now is a human construct, a human version of a more fundamental reality, or more fundamental core existence that is appearing like this to us as human beings, only to us as human beings. If you look at other sentient beings, if you look at, I could give you many examples, but if you look at a butterfly by the species called, what she called, painted lady, the painted lady butterfly tastes the world through its legs. It smells the world with its antenna. It looks at the world with eyes that have 30,000 lenses that move like a kaleidoscope every moment. And so what is reality to that painted butterfly? What is reality to an octopus? What is reality to your dog or a kitten? What's reality to an insect with 100 eyes? What's reality to a snake? These are all sentient beings, by the way. You and I are not just the only sentient beings. What is it reality to a snake that only senses infrared radiation? Or a bat that knows the world through the echo of ultrasound? Or a honeybee that navigates the world through ultraviolet? So you can see there are as many versions of reality as there are sentient beings looking. So in science today, this is referred to as the hard problem of consciousness. The hard problem of consciousness, which according to cognitive scientists, neuroscientists, is a very difficult problem to solve. And that is, how does the human brain give us this experience? How does the human brain give us any experience? Right now, for example, you're looking at me, I hope, and you're listening to me, I hope. But all that's coming to you from me right now are two things. One is photons, and those photons have no color. They have no shape, they have no dimensionality, they're invisible, right? There are photons coming from me to your eyes right now, and they're totally invisible. What's going from your eyes to your brain is an electrical current, which you can't experience right now. What's happening in your brain right now is electrochemistry. And you're experiencing none of that. What you're experiencing is this amazing place, colors, textures, sounds, smells, yourself, your own body, your thoughts, and this character that everybody calls Deepak. So how's that happening? How does the brain, which only responds to electrical current, that's all the brain responds to, whether you're hearing sound, taste, smell, any experience you have, all the brain does is respond to an electrical current. That's it. How does that electrical current, converted into chemicals in the brain, give us this experience? Well, that's called the hard problem of consciousness. So scientists today know that there is something that happens in the brain. Right now, as you're listening to me, what's happening in the brain is those electrochemical activities. And those are called the neural correlates of consciousness, or the neural correlates of experience, because everything that happens to us is an experience. Right now you're having an experience. If I ask you to close your eyes, and do that right now, close your eyes and imagine a beautiful sunset on the hills or over the desert, and you see a picture, you can open your eyes. Did you see a picture? Yes. Okay, so where is that picture? There's no picture in the brain. All there is electrochemicals, but you saw a picture. Or think of your mother, or think of someone you love and feel the love, or think of a favorite song. Think of a favorite song. Think of John Lennon singing Imagine. Okay? Can you hear it now? So where is it being broadcast from? There's no sound in your brain. There's no color in your brain. There's no sensation in your brain. Nothing of the sort. Electrochemicals. How do we experience anything that we call our reality? Human reality. Not snake reality, not painted lady, although those are all important realities on the scale of infinite realities. But how does the brain produce our reality? By that I mean our experience of the physical world, our experience of that which we call the physical body, and our experience of that which we call the mind. Our mind is also thoughts and feelings and emotions and desires and imagination and creativity and insight and intention. How does the brain do it? That's called the hard problem of consciousness. It's the number 2 problem in science today. And scientists have no idea how to solve it. No idea how to solve it. They'll admit that, okay? So don't believe me, go on the internet, go Google hard problem of consciousness, and you'll see what I'm saying is true, okay? So that's the second problem in science. The first one is even more difficult, and that is, what is the universe made of? Now, you would think that everybody would know the answer to that. After all, you know what this microphone is made of. It looks like plastic and metal. Your body is made of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen and nitrogen. So what's the universe made of? Why is this so difficult? Well, again, this is, as I said, the hard problem of consciousness is the second most unsolved mystery. And the first unsolved mystery is, what's the universe made of? So why is this a hard problem? Well, 30% of the universe is now postulated to be by scientists, cosmologists, physicists, mathematicians. It seems like 70% of the universe is a mysterious entity called dark energy. And it's not energy in the normal way we think about energy. E is equal to mc squared, mass is equal to energy. The way to think about this energy is it's something that's the opposite of gravity. So it's an anti-gravitational force, hypothetical, postulated by scientists and cosmologists, which is expanding the space between galaxies faster than the speed of light. So right now as we speak, and we are on planet Earth, part of a solar system, which is part of the Milky Way galaxy, which has 100 billion stars. So right now, as we sit here and talk about these matters, the space between galaxies, and there are supposed to be 2 trillion galaxies, according to the scientific model, 2 trillion. 700 sextillion stars. You can't even know, you probably don't know how to write that. Okay? And uncountable trillions of planets. We are in the Milky Way galaxy on this little speck of dust, which would be not even a grain of sand in all the beaches of our planet. Not even one grain of sand. And from where we are, the universe is expanding faster than the speed of light, and what's expanding is the space between galaxies. Why? No one knows. In fact, Einstein created a formula for it, and he called it the cosmological constant. Then later he thought, he had made a mistake. He said, that's an embarrassment, what I said. In the end, actually he was right. There is something called the cosmological constant, which is the mathematical description of why the universe is expanding. Okay. That does away with 70% of the universe. We have no idea what it is. So now what's left is 30%, of which 26% is another mysterious entity called dark matter. So what is dark matter? Dark matter is matter that is the dominant matter in a galaxy. So in the Milky Way galaxy, the dominant matter is dark matter, which means it's holding this galaxy together. If there was this dark matter, then our planets would spiral off, get lost in intergalactic space, and everything would be chaotic, and you and I would disappear because, amongst other things, we need gravity to hold us to the ground, and we also need gravity to hold everything together, all the planets and everything else. But 26% of that gravity comes from matter that we actually have no idea what it is. And the reason why we have no idea what it is, it's not made of atoms, it's non-atomic. So this is made of atoms. Your body is made of atoms. Atoms have this property that they reflect light, absorb light, emit light. In other words, they interact with light. We interact with light because we are made of atoms. If something is non-atomic, it's invisible, and we have no idea what it is. And we probably cannot have any idea because our brain, our body is not structured to look at this thing which is invisible. That's 26%. Why call it matter? Because matter is things you can see that have units of mass and energy that you can hold, that you can touch. So why call it matter at all? The reason it's called matter is it's the only thing that explains most of the gravity in the universe. It bends space and time. So now you're left with 4% of the universe, which is made of atoms. And that 4%, 99.99%, is invisible interstellar dust. So you can't see that either. Okay? What's left? 0.01% of the universe is atomic and visible. 0.01%. That includes 2 trillion galaxies, 700 sextillion stars, and uncountable trillions of planets is 0.01%. And that includes your own body as well, because your body is made of atoms. So that's a problem, right? Now, I'll tell you why that problem is a bigger problem than even scientists can imagine. When you look at these atoms that make up the visible universe, something strange is happening. As long as you're looking at them, and as long as they are interacting with other particles, they are visible as things, as particles, as units of mass and energy. But if you're not looking at them, you are not looking at them, and you have to be a scientist to look at atoms in CERN, in the Hadron Collider. So most of us can't see atoms, and even the people who think they see atoms, they see tracks of atoms. They don't actually see atoms. But in any case, if you're not looking at them, and if they're not interacting with other particles, either experimentally or otherwise, then they disappear and they become waves. And if you ask scientists, what are these waves made of? They'll say, but we really don't know. You know, like sound waves are made of the vibration of air molecules. And water waves, ocean waves are made of water. But what are the waves that make the universe, this visible universe, made of? The best answer you'll get is they are made of possibilities. So then you ask the scientists, where do these possibilities exist? And they'll give you a technical answer. They'll say Hilbert space. Say, what is Hilbert space? Turns out Hilbert is the name of a German mathematician. Okay, what is it? It's a mathematical space which has infinite dimensions. Fine, where is it? And the best answer you'll get is shut up and calculate. Because no one knows. Okay, no one knows where the infinite space is that gives rise to this. It's a mathematical idea in a mathematical imagination, but it works. If you do all the formulas, equations, you create theories of physics that try to explain what the universe is. But right now, that is the whole idea of a physical universe, as understood by science, is in crisis. And the reason it's in crisis is, bottom line is, universe is made of nothing. And so what is nothing that appears as everything? And now also, the bottom line is that you only know that you exist or anything exists because you're a conscious being. If you didn't have consciousness, you wouldn't know that you have thoughts, or you have a body, or this is a universe, or that we're Joshua Tree. So the two biggest problems of science, what is existence? Because the universe is a form of existence. By existence, I mean anything that exists, including this microphone, including this hand, including your own body, including this tent. What is existence made of? Answer is, it's made of nothing, but we don't know what the nothing is. And then how do we know there is existence? How do we know there is this? If it's made of nothing, why does it look like this? And that's the hard problem of consciousness. We don't know how we know what we know. So, two biggest problems of existence. One is, what is existence? And two is, how do we know we exist or anything exists? Both of those, science has no answer. So let us get away right now with this understanding that science does not describe reality. Okay, science is a particular model of reality, a particular story of reality based on a particular methodology, which is theory, observation, experiment, validation. Theory, observation, experiment, validation. And using these criteria, we can definitely say science is not describing reality. It's describing a particular model of reality. But as yogis, you don't want to settle for a model. You want to settle for the real thing, right? You don't want to settle for a story, even though if its story is plausible, convincing, scientific. You don't want to settle for a story. You want to be real and know what reality is. And that, incidentally, is the aim of yoga. So if we go back all the way to Patanjali, the teacher of yoga, and others, but let's stay with Patanjali because everyone knows about Patanjali, the 8 limbs of yoga, etc. Right off the bat, he says in the first sutra, he says yoga is the progressive settling down of mental formations till you reach the source of thought, which is the source of everything that we call reality. Okay? And then this is part of yoga, it's part of Vedanta, it's part of Ayurveda, it's part of the wisdom traditions, it's part of, I mentioned Vedanta, but it's also part of Kashmir Shaivism, it's part of all the new non-dual traditions which say ultimate reality is consciousness. Ultimate reality is infinite being. And it is the infinite being. If you want to call the infinite being God, that's fine. And here it's very safe to say that. Okay, but in many places when you use the word God, then people get upset because they have their own ideas about God. And all I have to say is, if you have an idea about God, then it's not God. Okay? If you have a concept about God, then it's not God. If you have a model about God, it's not God. And if you have a thought about God, it's not God. Okay? Because human thought has human limitations. And human, even notwithstanding the fact that we don't know how we experience this, we know that it has something to do with the human brain, even though the human brain may not be producing this reality, but the human brain has something to do with it. And like any other biological organism, there are limitations. So as long as you're thinking about God and creating a model about God, then you can be sure you're not talking about the infinite. Because as soon as you have a thought, you take the infinite and make it finite, right? So what is yoga? It's not a system of thought. Even though we say 8 limbs of yoga, this and that, it's not a system of thought. No system of thought, whether it is mythology, which was the first system of thought, was myth. And that then became the second system of thought, which was religion. The third system of thought, which was theology. The fourth system of thought, philosophy. The fifth system of thought, science. And none of it can give us access to reality. Only yoga can. Because yoga takes us beyond all thought. Okay? That's the principle that I hope we can understand here today. So we stop philosophizing and actually practicing yoga as it is meant to be practiced, as a spiritual discipline, including all the forms of yoga, of course. So let me start with a little experiment with you. Sir, what is this? Microphone. What is this?
Hand.
Hand. What is that? Shoe. What is this? Okay, so now you get the point. Okay, every time I asked you something, you named an object that you think is out there somewhere. Okay, for you, the hand that you're looking at is out there somewhere. The shoe is out there somewhere. The microphone is out there somewhere. The Milky Way galaxy is out there somewhere. That tree is out there somewhere. This is a hallucination, okay? And it's also a human construct. And I want to tell you what I mean by a human construct. If there was a baby right now, a human baby, and there are anybody here with a baby? Okay? If the baby has not been bamboozled by what we call the superstition of matter, then that baby doesn't know this is a shoe. All it experiences is a color and a shape and a form. If that baby doesn't know this is Deepak Chopra speaking, all that baby knows is hearing a sound. Okay? The baby has no idea that this thing is called chocolate ice cream, but it likes the taste. Okay? On and on. So you can understand, I hope right now, that anything you can give a name to, a human name to, anything that can be described by human beings is not reality. It is a construct around an experience. Before you can say this is a microphone, it's an experience. So what's the experience right now for you? It's color, it's shape, it's form. What is this? Same thing. What is coming out? Sound. That's raw experience. Okay, and also it's human, because this sound which I'm making, an insect with that listens to its brain through the what is called a waggle dance, a honeybee, it won't even experience the sound. A snake won't even experience this color. A bat would not have any idea what we're talking about, because all it senses is the echo of ultrasound. So reality is a species-specific, culture-specific experience that gives rise to constructs by human beings. And these constructs can be everything that we call reality. Milky Way galaxy, starscapes, even God. God, as described by human beings, is a human construct. Is that clear, by the way? That everything you're experiencing right now, this whole thing, Joshua tree created by human beings, Milky Way galaxy created by human beings, your own idea of your body created by human beings. Because in reality, there is no body, there is no mind, and there is no universe. Okay, what we call the body is an activity, perceptual activity that's constantly transforming in our consciousness. You had the body of an embryo, you had the body of a baby, you had the body of a teenager, you have this body, it'll grow old, it'll die. Which body do you own? If you think you have a body, you have a problem. Which one? Okay, this is the year 2018 model. And the last time I came to Joshua Tree, I wore the same t-shirt but not the same body. And that is what the Bhagavad Gita says, by the way, that your body is like a set of clothes. And you're not changing your clothes when you die and reincarnate. You're changing your clothes right now. Your body is the clothing you have chosen to wear at this moment. Tomorrow it will be another body. In less than 1 year, you'll have replaced 98% of all the atoms in your body. So you cannot possibly be your body. You cannot be possibly a part of a changing universe. What did this look like 100 million years ago? What did this look like at the moment of the Big Bang? What is it going to look like after the 6th extinction? So, what is the universe? It's a human construct for a perceptual activity in human consciousness. What is your body? It's another construct. You made it up. Okay, there's no such thing. What is your mind? You made it up. It's just identifying with your thoughts, which shift every moment. Yesterday's thoughts, day before yesterday's thoughts, the thoughts of a baby. You see, everyday reality is a mirage. That's why the yogis were brave enough to call it Maya. Maya, the word Maya comes from the word mother, and the word mother also is connected to the word matra, matrika, which also means measurement, which is the origin of the word time, and also of the word music, and also of the word myth, but it's really mother. And in the tantric traditions of yoga, the mother is Shakti, or the feminine aspect of the divine, Shiva being the masculine aspect of the divine. But as soon as we use these words, again, we are getting into constructs, okay? If you really want to understand reality, then you have to know what Shiva is at the level of your core being. You have to know what Shakti is at the level of your core being, and for that we need yoga. Okay, so given that, there are 4 basic yogas. Yoga is the only way you can get in touch with truth, or you can get close to truth, because truth is infinite possibilities. We already realized that. Truth is what we experience as truth is a species-specific, culture-specific story. What is truth beyond stories? These are the 4 yogas. Okay, so the first yoga is called the Raj Yoga or Royal Yoga. And this includes everything that we normally mean by yoga. So meditation, self-reflection, self-inquiry, mantra practice, transcendence, mindful awareness, and everyday practice of yogasana, pranayam, pratyahara, all the 8 limbs. Those are part of what is called Raj Yoga. Raj means royal. Okay, so this is called the Royal Yoga, Raj Yoga. And our everyday practice of yoga is principally that yoga. That includes our yoga postures. Okay, so when you do yogasana, when you're doing a pose, warrior pose or cat cow or whatever, happy baby or the child pose, you're actually inducing a state of consciousness that represents that asana. So asana actually means seat of awareness. And if you're doing yoga only for physical benefit, flexibility, endurance, all that's great. Improving your health, all that's great. You are in fact causing self-regulation through all the visceral nerves, but the yoga asanas themselves, if you do them properly with mindful awareness and actually bringing your awareness to the posture, you are slowly getting to the source of all experience, which is consciousness, which is pure being, which is infinite possibilities, which is more fundamental than this experience. So that's the first yoga, Royal Yoga, Raj Yoga. The second yoga is what this festival is about. It's called Bhakti Yoga. Okay, so the word Bhakti is translated as both love, devotion, and worship, and also as invocation. Of all those words, my least favorite is worship. Okay, because it suggests that you're worshipping an external being and that you have some construct, some model, some idea, some story of that external being. It doesn't matter who that being is, Krishna or, Devi or whatever. But when we do Bhakti Yoga properly, then we are invoking the energy of Krishna, of Shiva, of Shakti, of the Divine Feminine. We are not worshipping that god or goddess. We are understanding that that god or that goddess is an archetypal, symbolic representation of the infinite being. But because we cannot describe the infinite being, as soon as we describe the infinite being, we make it finite. We do it through bhakti. And so the best form of bhakti should be translated as love. That's it. Love that includes every aspect of love. Every aspect, from carnal love to divine love to unconditional love to disordered love to melodramatic love to sacred love to profane love. Ultimately, it's all love. And love is the ultimate truth at the heart of creation, because love, the deeper understanding of love, is what we call unity consciousness. So love is not a mere sentiment, love is not a mere sentiment, it's not a mere emotion, although it can be experienced as all those wonderful emotions. Love is the ultimate truth at the heart of the universe. So it gets us to the same place as Raj Yoga. And it's actually in many ways simpler and more enjoyable than going to yoga class every day. Although if you do go to yoga class every day, you get to like it, you get to love it. And then it's not a chore anymore. Okay, so think of Bhakti Yoga just in that simple way, love in all its dimensions. Divine and diabolical, sacred and profane, sinner and saint, they're all part of the whole thing. Even in the Ramayana, when Ram, the incarnation of God, goes to Ravana, and Ravana says, I know you're going to win the war, because the divine always wins the war against the demons. I know you're going to win the war, but I have a favor to ask you. He tells Ram, the God, he says, I have a favor to ask you. And so Ram says, what's the favor? He says, at the last final moments, I want you, God, to pull the bullet arrow that goes right into my heart. Because even as a demon, I want your love. As a demon, I long for your love. That's why I'm a demon. Okay, because I want your attention. So Bhakti Yoga is enormous in its scope. And every kirtan, every chant, every mantra is an aspect of that. Okay, so that's the second form of yoga. The third form of yoga is what is called the yoga of the intellect, or Jnana Yoga. And it's been confused a lot by even translators of the yogic tradition. But if you follow Jnana Yoga very carefully in one of the most famous Upanishads of all time, the Bhagavad Gita, and Lord Krishna describing intellect, he actually warns people that the intellect can lead you astray. That when you think you're smart, you tend to fool yourself into thinking you're smarter than you actually are. And actually, the more you know, the less you really know about reality. Because the more you know, the more you're tempted to create models of reality. The more you're tempted to create stories. No, she's offering me that. Don't worry about it. This is my morning kapha. I look forward to it. Okay, so the yoga of the intellect, Jnana Yoga, is also comes with a warning in the Upanishads. It's the razor's edge. You can go either way. If you get too intellectual, you will actually be further away from the truth than when you started. That's why it's the razor's edge. So don't try to be smart, try to be humble, and try to ask questions instead of making dogmatic opinions. So the yoga of self-reflection is a form of yoga as well, popularized by people like Sri Atmanand Krishna Menon, by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, or my own teacher, by the Kashmir Shaivists, by many non-dualists, and of course the greatest of them all, Ramana Maharishi in the last century. That is in a way Jnana Yoga, a yoga of the intellect without dogma, but through humility and self-inquiry. And that then leaves us to the fourth yoga, which is called Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is, again, in the Bhagavad Gita, all these 18 chapters, that's all they talk about, okay? 18 chapters is all about yoga. Chapter 1 through chapter 18 is all about yoga. So if you want to understand yoga, just read the Bhagavad Gita, hopefully a good translation. Okay, so the fourth yoga is Karma Yoga, where Lord Krishna says, do what needs to be done, but leave the results to the unknown. So do what needs to be done, pursue excellence, trust yourself, trust your being, trust your soul, and then do what needs to be done. That's what you control. You don't control the fruits of action. But paradoxically, if you pursue excellence and ignore success, then you'll have all the success in the world. So yoga for success, which I wrote about in the 7 spiritual laws of yoga. So that's yoga basically. And yoga is meant to transcend all systems of thought. Because no system of thought will give you the access to the real reality. The real reality, which is the source of all these, what should I say, virtual realities. So today, because of technology and people actually embarking on VR and augmented reality and all these things, artificial intelligence, actually these guys don't realize it, but they are extending the Maya. Okay, what they're doing is they're taking the virtual reality that you and I have created, the human universe, and then they're extending it through technologies, not knowing that the source of all of that is infinite being. Is infinite being. And infinite being is infinite love, infinite compassion, infinite joy, infinite correlation, which means everything is connected to everything else. Correlation, which is these days people are calling it quantum entanglement, but infinite being is infinite love, infinite creativity, infinite compassion, infinite joy, infinite evolution, with all the perils that come along with infinite creativity, which is the dark side and our own shadows. That if we don't confront them, then we are back on the battlefield. The battlefield of Kurukshetra that Lord Krishna talks about is the battlefield in our own consciousness. The demons are not there, they're inside us. The gods and goddesses are not there, they're inside us. And we are the spiritual warriors that will ultimately vanquish the demons, not through war, not through violence, but through the deepest understanding of being, which is the self consciousness. And our path is set out for us as the path of yoga. Yoga comes from the word yuj, Sanskrit word yuj. Yuj means union. So union with whom? Union with what? Union with the self. Not the self-image, not the ego constructed, conditioned identity or mind, but the source of mind, the source of emotion, the source of thought, the source of perceptual experience, and ultimately the source of that which we call the universe. So one of the principles of yoga is the self of the individual is the self of the universe. And this is explained in so many beautiful mantras and sutras. Aham Brahmasmi, I am the universe. Tattvamasi, you are that. All this is that. That alone is. Okay? Shiva Shakti, I am the divine masculine and the feminine. Rittam, I am the harmony of the universe. All you have to do is follow the teachings of yoga, and you realize that you're on a journey that has no distance. It's the journey from the self back to the self. In the words of T.S. Eliot, we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of our exploring is to arrive where we started from and know the place for the first time. So God bless you, all yogis.